Welcome to our channel. My name's Steven. Late October, and we're still experiencing some really warm and sunny days. Yumi's cutting some Perilla plants, or Egoma in Japanese, from her small farm. We've cooked with the leaves in a variety of ways for the last few months. But now she's noticed there's a chance to extract the seeds from the plant. Mia and I practicing on the Surfskate. Anyway, back to getting those Perillo seeds. So the first thing Yumi did was to cut how much of the plant she wanted, and then let it dry for a few days. Now that it's nice and dry, you can try and have a go at getting the seeds out. Perilla seeds are rich in omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, as well as other nutrients, and have a number of health benefits, including for the skin and cardiovascular system.
We have a picnic, Daddy.
It was our first time trying this, and it proved to be a slow process. Does anybody know a quicker way of getting the seeds out? Feel free to let us know. And this was our seed harvest, after 2 hours of work. Not a great return for our efforts, I suppose, but still good to try new things. We tried some of the seeds with fresh rice and a pinch of salt. A simple but tasty snack. Then we had an unwanted, but now more slightly familiar, surprise.
Where are these fucking things coming from, man? There! On the shelf there! Quick!
A fairly large Mukade centipede in the house. Although we are beginning to accept these things as part of living in the Japanese countryside,
Where they come from now?
it's still quite a freaky thing to
Where
see.
did you see it?
There.
Huh?
There.
Where?
There, on the shelf.
And it fell down?
Yes.
Mia was the one that spotted it
Fell down on
and
the
said
floor.
that she noticed it on the ceiling somewhere before it dropped onto the floor.
ほんまや。めっちゃでかいやん。
Sleeping.
And I found another one in the morning, amongst the dishes and whatnot. I'm not sure why a couple of them came into the house this particular week. Maybe something to do with the change of seasons and them liking the warmth inside the house now. Because sometimes you don't see them for a while, and then all of a sudden you find a couple in your house. Oh well, whatever. Out you go, beast.
これは何？ミヤ。いや、気持ち悪い。
I thought this thing was some kind of leech in the bathroom.
I saw it in my farm.
But it's just a hammerhead worm, I think.
Leech よね、maybe ね。
I'd rather find them in the house than those giant centipedes.
気持ち悪いね。
で、ジャスさ、生きてるだけのパートオブネイチャーなの。何これ？
It can stretch, look. It can stretch.
ありがとう。ダディ、もう go outside please. Bring outside please. I can't feel it. もう無理。
Anyway, let's forget about the creatures for a while. As I mentioned in a previous video, I've been living in Japan for about 10 years now. So I've been cooking rice most days for about the same amount of time. As many of you probably know, rice is the primary staple food of the Japanese diet, and many people here consume it with most meals during the day. We prefer cooking our rice using a pot rather than a rice cooker. First I wash it a few times using clean cold water. I've been doing it for years and years.
Every day.
Then I add fresh clean water to the rice and let it sit in the pot for about 10 minutes. Just let that sit for about 10 minutes. Next I bring it to the boil on a fairly high heat. Time for some fresh sashimi while I wait for the rice to boil. Once it boils, I turn the heat right down and let the rice simmer for about 10 minutes.
Technique.
Secret technique with a cloth.
10 minutes? Yeah.
And then the last thing I do is just give it a blast on high heat for 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay.
There are of course other ways to cook rice using the pot. We also sometimes cook it a different way. but mostly this is how we enjoy and like our rice to taste. Time to relax and have dinner.